Okay, so it has been too long in my opinion, but this video is gonna kind of be partially a channel update and partially a review or a preview, I guess, for Game 6 of tonight's game. So the channel update part of this is that this channel might be put on hold for a little bit, mainly because I've got some schoolwork that I need to take care of. I've got some jobs that I need to get because I need money and I don't have any, so I'm applying for a lot of jobs right now and I'm hoping to land one here soon, and that's going to take up the majority of my time. This is unfortunately going to be put on the back burner for now because I just need to focus on other stuff, and as much as I'd love to keep doing this, I don't know how long I'll be able to do this, but we will see. We will hope for the best, and hopefully things work out to a point where I could keep making these videos and make the others that I was hoping to, and get back to what, like, the routine that we were going for back in Tempe. As you can see, I'm back in Fort Collins. Just got the flag hooked up, so we have some Wild memorabilia just hanging up there. But yeah, this is a big game for Minnesota. Obviously, elimination game, and considering that we blew a chance in Game 4, blew an even bigger one in Game 5, we need this. And if we don't get it, then it'll be the same situation that Minnesota fans have dealt with their entire existence. Always a first-round exit team and not being able to get over the hump. I don't think this team is that bad, okay? I still think this team can win in 7 games. It's just that we need to try. Okay? In Game 5, that was mainly what happened. It was a lack of effort. But I'm also not going to read a normal preview or any notes that I would have. I'm just going to read an article from Michael Russo of The Athletic that he made 8 hours ago. It says, Russo, it's time for the Wild to follow the Blues' lead and make some adjustments. So if you are on The Athletic or you know about Michael Russo, you're going to want to check this out because he's the main voice of the Wild. Anything that happens with that organization goes essentially through him. So if you want up-to-date, good articles and stuff that you can trust, that's who I trust. I trust Michael Russo. So I'm just going to read a little bit of what he says here. Dean Evason likes to say the Wild don't need, quote, a lot of coaching, end quote. It's one of his ways of praising a group he has a lot of respect for, even if it's probably a bit of an exaggeration. That's straight from the text here. And he's right, because Evason is a player's coach. He kind of lets the players do what they want because he was a former player himself. So he knows that a big, bossy coach like John Tortorella wouldn't fit well in that locker room because he'd just bring the guys down. Yet at the same time, Russo also stretches that even if you give that players that much leeway, you still have to make some sort of changes. You are the coach. You can do that. It's not like it's just the players running this. No, there are coaches in place to help these guys out. I'll continue. On the bench during games, for example, Evason calls upon lines, but players have the freedom to play the game the right way, which allows for a lot of freelancing on offense. When the Wild followed his instructions early in this first-round series against the Blues, winning games 2 and 3. They were keeping their composure and playing whistle to whistle, Evason said. Quote, they didn't listen to the coaches. They listened to each other. If you guys were down by the bench, you'd realize and hear what they were saying to each other. That's the exciting part, end quote. So yeah, most of the time it's actually the players talking amongst themselves. It's not really Evason barking out orders or Darby or McLean or Bob Woods. Like none of them are really commanding the talk. It's mostly the players. And that's the same with the locker room. Continuing, off the ice, Evason largely leaves the locker room to the players and a vast Wild leadership group. Case in point, after Tuesday's discouraging 5-2 loss in Game 5, the Wild coaches met as a staff, then opened the coach's door and walked to the players' door. Quote, it was closed, Evason said, grinning. Quote, it's not airtight, so we can hear what's going on. We stood there for a bit. We listened, heard exactly what they said. And we could have easily went in there and kept talking, but they said exactly what we would have said. Our group has done that the entire season. There's times when we don't even go in between periods because we believe and trust that they've got it. They figured it out. They know what's going on. End quote. The Wild flew to St. Louis on Wednesday afternoon, and Evason said he will hold a little meeting before dinner. Then they'll re-emphasize some things with videos Thursday morning. Players love this approach, and it can be a safe way of coaching. If Evason's always in the room screaming and yelling or conducting meeting after meeting, like I said, there's the danger of his voice being drowned out and ultimately tuned out. Russo sets this up perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. So, obviously, Evason is a player's coach, okay? He's going to let the players lead the charge, and I was honestly surprised by that fact where sometimes they won't even go in the middle of periods. It's foreign for me because, most NHL coaches generally go in after the period and just say something, or some coach does. But I guess it's good to know that the players know they're not doing right. And hopefully that the message got through in that Game 5 talk amongst the players. Because, again, their backs are against the wall. This is do or die at this point. We have to win the next 2 games. There is no other scenario that we can move on. So we have to pick it up. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit because right here, Russo basically explains when the series got away. And I originally was saying, it's or I was going to say in Game 4 when I had my notes ready, but I wasn't able to get the video out. I was basically saying, yeah, the Wild just weren't able to get shots, and it was a close game. They almost had it, but we just needed to get more momentum. We needed to get more shots on net. But then I took a longer look at it and then looked at what Russo said, and I'm like, yeah, that probably makes sense. And it's this paragraph right here. I'm not sure which number paragraph it is, but I'll just read it right here. He says, sometimes it's the right strategy, but make no mistake, this playoff series turned for the worse for the Wild when Blues coach Craig Berube began making lineup, line, and goalie adjustments. And that's true, because we know after Game 3, the Wild were up 2-1, and the Blues defense was completely crippled. Like, they lost 3 big guys. It was Torrey Krug out, Robert Bortuzzo out. Scandella came back, but he wasn't healthy. Nick Leddy wasn't healthy for Game 4. So that's a big opportunity that we should have had and be able to take control of the series. And we didn't. And so getting desperate, being down 2-1 after losing one in your building, and Husso, who had just played 2 pretty atrocious games, he lost 6-2 and then 5-1. Sure, he got the shutout in Game 1, but I think many people are probably thinking Game 1 is kind of what's the best way to describe it? Not a wash, but it didn't matter as much because it was the first game of the series. And so as much as it definitely, pins us down here because winning Game 1 would have us up 3-2, it's still a while away. And that's probably why Husso was pulled, because he gave up 6 goals in Game 2 and gave up 5 at home in Game 1. And keep in mind, it was 4 goals and an empty netter, but still, it was not a good look for Ville Husso. So then they put in Jordan Binnington, and they switch up the other lines. Because then the Blues went with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen to make sure that those defensive guys back there had enough room. Because they figured, okay, we still have good scoring with Buchnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko, O'Reilly, Perron, Braden Shen. They still have all those guys. And those guys are essentially the guys that are scoring for St. Louis. So they didn't really need to worry about the guys that were lower down, like 3rd and 4th line for St. Louis. So getting rid of a forward and adding another defenseman was what they needed to do. And lo and behold, it works. It worked for them. It worked wonders for them, actually. Because they have won 5-2 twice now, I believe. So, again, those changes definitely change this series. And the Wild need to follow their lead. And now it sucks to follow the team that is, beating you. But if they're doing something right, then, help them out. Because he also said or I'll continue down from what Russo's saying here. In the third period of what would be a 5-1 Wild win in Game 3, Berube threw his lines in a blender and scrambled everything, including the Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, and Vladimir Tarasenko line. He maintained that change in Game 4. Despite that trio being one of the league's top scoring lines down the stretch of the regular season, Berube had the guts to split them up because they were ineffective the first 3 games of the series. He didn't reassemble that line in Game 5, although they were together on Tarasenko's winning goal because Berube was double shifting Thomas. Berube also realized that the line of Jordan Greenway, Joel Eriksson Ek, and Marcus Foligno, the grief line, was swaying the momentum of the series in Games 2 and 3. So he put together a line to counter it in Game 4. David Perron, Ryan O'Reilly, and Braden Shen. It resulted in one of the worst games we've seen from the Eriksson Ek line in Game 4. That's true. They did not look good in Game 4. With his blue line in shambles, Berube began going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, and it's completely worked, with the Wild especially wasting a golden opportunity against an undermanned blue line in Game 4. But the biggest adjustment Berube had was making the goaltending change in Game 4. Ville Husso, who shut out the Wild in his playoff debut in Game 1, was hardly the reason the Blues lost Games 2 and 3. But in part to change the momentum, Berube took his Stanley Cup winning goalie and started the series on the bench and tossed him into the net for Games 4 and 5. Jordan Binnington had lost 9 straight playoff starts since his come-clinching Game 7 win in Boston in 2019. He didn't play well this season, but now he has come off the bench and he's 2-0 with a 2 goals against average and a .935 save percentage, stopping 58 of 62 shots. The Wild, after the Game 4 loss, Evason intimated we could see some lineup changes and fresh legs in Game 5. And that's honestly what I was thinking as well. When he said fresh legs in Game 5, I'm thinking, okay, Bukestad and Talbot, they're going to be back in. Instead, the Wild didn't make a single lineup change. That included in goal. So, again, Russo creates this perfectly. And he gave out some other options as well from the paragraph before. Russo says, quote, he didn't say who, but perhaps we'd see Dmitry Kulikov, who had a poor Game 1, back in for veteran Alex Goligoski. Or maybe we'd see rookie Connor Dewar in for the physical Nick Delorier, who had been mostly ineffective for this series. Or maybe Nick Bukestad, who played well down the stretch, in for Brandon Duhaime, who hasn't scored a goal since February 20th, so Tyson Jost has a linemate he can create offense with. Instead, the Wild didn't make a single lineup change. That included in goal. And I still believe that Fleury has played good, and I'm willing to bet a lot of Wild fans have also said that. But the thing is, you just need a change because you are down to your final options. And as much as Fleury has the caliber, he has 3 Stanley Cups, of course he's a great goaltender. But when you're faced with your backs against the wall, you got to be desperate. And the Wild have to play desperate hockey and play like they want to win this series. Like they know they can. Because 5-on-5, whether they counter that grief line, we still have a bunch of other lines that should be effective. Like the Gaudreau-Fiala-Boldy line. Other than Boldy and like Gaudreau in, Game 2? Nothing. Fiala's had a few assists, but other than that, he's been dry. And honestly, we might have to change that up to get them back into rolling. Maybe you throw Ryan Harmon on a different line or something like that. Kaprizov's still scoring. Zuccarello's still getting some good opportunities. We just need to play desperate, and we need to get more scoring. And of course, Russo says that. He stresses that the Wild need to make changes. They need to make changes. I know chemistry is an important thing and all of that, but honestly, the whole team is pretty good with everybody. Okay? And even if you have one bad period in Game 6, you still have 2 more periods after that. So, experiment. See what you can do. Tinker a little bit. Throw Bukestad back in there to help out Tyson Jost. You can keep Delorier in there as a physical presence, I guess. But I haven't seen much from Duhaime on the 4th line. Just put Bukestad in there. Just see what he does. Excuse me. And I did see, or at least Russo's next post that he had on The Athletic, also confirmed some of the stuff that we would like to see. Wild to start Cam Talbot over Marc-Andre Fleury. So Talbot is getting the start, and Evason didn't say that specifically. Once again, I'm referencing Russo here again. But right here, the Minnesota Wild are making a change in net for Thursday's Game 6 of their first-round series against the St. Louis Blues, sitting three-time Stanley Cup champion Marc-Andre Fleury and starting Cam Talbot. Wild coach Dean Evason wouldn't reveal his lineup for the game, but Talbot was in the starter's net at morning skate, left the ice first, and alternate captain Marcus Foligno confirmed Talbot will make the start. Okay, so we know Talbot is making the start. That's good. And it's not like Fleury has played horribly. Oftentimes, like I said in Game 1, most of those goals were not his fault. That was bad defensive play by Minnesota. In Game 5, there was a couple bad defensive plays by Minnesota that also had Fleury scrambling. Yet at the same time, Fleury has also been giving up massive, juicy rebounds in front that you just can't give up in the playoffs because they're going to pounce on those. And so this is something that needed to happen. I guarantee Wild fans do not hate Marc-Andre Fleury. They just want something else. And it's good to see Talbot get the start in net. Okay? It's good to see Evason changing up things. Frankly, he should have changed them up for Game 5, and I'm not sure why he didn't. Because that may have just cost us. That may have cost us a golden opportunity. Now we have to do things the hard way. Now we have to win one in their building and then come back home and have a winner-take-all where we know the Blues are going to be feisty and want to close out this series. They want to get this over with. Granted, their next opponent is a hell of a lot harder, but they want to get past. They just want to finish us off. So we have to play as desperate as they were in Game 4 because they knew they couldn't go down 3-1. There was a couple like St. Louis media outlets that basically said Game 4 was the biggest game of that series up to that point. And it makes sense. You know, when you're down 2-1, of course Game 4 is going to be the biggest game of the series when none of the other games have been played. But it was all built up. Everyone is gearing for Game 4, Mother's Day, to be the change that needed to happen. And St. Louis got that change. Now we need our change. Now we need to pick it up and win in St. Louis. We have to go into their building, win in St. Louis, come back home, and win this series in 7. Because a lot of the people who predicted this series, again, it is a pretty even series. It can live up to 7 games. We have to make sure it gets there. Okay? Because there is 4 teams on elimination watch today because 4 teams are playing 3-2 in the series. No. 2 road teams, us and the Oilers, are facing elimination. And then the Bruins and the Lightning are facing elimination, but they're back at home. So we have to win, obviously. That is a given. And it's a good thing that Evason is finally making changes. Might have been a game later than we would have liked, but at the very least, he's doing this at the end. Okay? He is doing this he's doing this at all. Frankly, the fact that he's doing this is good enough. For now, it's good enough because we can't bitch about Game 5 anymore. We can't complain about the other games that have happened in the series. We have to win. We have to win twice in a row. And we can do that. We can definitely do that. Talbot gives us a good chance in the net. So I feel fine. Now it feels obviously scary because a lot of Wild fans, some of you, throwing in the towel already, basically saying, oh, here comes the thank you fans posts coming in 7 hours. And I don't think you should think like that because we still have a chance. The series is not over. Just because you are down 3-2 and 75% of the teams have won, if they won Game 5, if they went on to win the series, there's still 25% that came back and won. We can be that 25%. We can do this. Like, you gotta have faith. And we won't know what the outcome is until after the third period ends. Or OT, if it happens like that. Who knows, an OT winner to send it back home, that'd be huge. I prefer a more comforting win, but any win will work. Any win. It doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter how you score. It's just that it gets into the net. And I'm thinking that the Wild players and the Wild staff know this now. Their backs are against the wall. They know that. The fact that they're making these changes, and the fact that they're starting to shift up the lineup, and I think Evason is going to shift up the lineup. He hasn't, like Russo said, he didn't say what the lineup would be other than Cam Talbot starting in net. But again, I think the Wild players know that this is do or die. Because this is also probably the best chance the Wild have for a good run. And I know I've preached this all year for them to re-sign Fiala. The problem with trying to re-sign Fiala is that we are so cap crunched that we might not have enough room. We already signed Pavel Novak from, I want to say Kelowna, I believe. So we already signed him to his entry-level contract. And frankly, we've signed up a good chunk of other people to this roster. Okay? We haven't signed Middleton yet, but all the other defensemen have been signed. We haven't signed, obviously, Fiala. We haven't signed Fleury, but he might want to come back. We'll see. But this is probably the best chance we have. Because I don't know if it's fully going to happen, but I can see it being a possibility that Fiala could get traded. Now again, let's just make sure that we win this, so we don't have to focus on that, because our off season is going to be a lot less comforting. So you might as well put a cup in the cabinet. You might as well get one before you have an off season that is not going to be kind to you. You might as well just say, screw it, we're going to do whatever the hell we need to win. We are going to just play all out and give it the best effort you can, okay? Hustle to pucks, because you know this could be the final game of your season unless you play with complete intensity and complete focus, okay? You better play like a Wild team, like a team that doesn't care what the other team thinks, doesn't care what anybody thinks. They're just going balls to the wall, trying to win at all costs. It is about winning. At least that's the slogan we've gone with. So let's win. Let's win. If it is about winning, then let's win. Because I swear to God, if you win this round, we will stick with you through the rest of the playoffs. Our fans are sticking with you here. They should stick with you, because this team is different. This team is much different than any other Wild team we've ever seen. This team is exciting. This team is fun. This team is spontaneous. This team can come back. This team can do it. These are the guys that can do it. I have faith that they can still win the cup. People are going to call me crazy, but I still believe that this team can do it. This team has the ability to win the Stanley Cup. And I understand that literally everybody is pouring on, oh, the Avs are going to do it, or the Maple Leafs, or, I don't know, the Penguins, or the Rangers, or the Flames, whoever. I still think that this team has the ability to shock the hockey world and win it. They have that ability to do it. They have the skill, they have the talent, they have the physicality. They just need the drive. If they have the drive to win, and they have the drive to be the best team in the NHL, then of course they're going to win. We're already damn good 5-on-5. We've made that pretty clear. We have embarrassed these guys at home and in their building. In Game 3, we beat them 5-1, and they out-hit us. They massively out-hit us. And we still beat him. It was 33-17 as far as the hits go, and we still managed to beat them. So we can do this. We can definitely do this. And I really hope I get to make more of these videos. I really hope I do. Because it would be so fun to, even if I'm making like a 6-minute video while I'm at work on my break. Like, if I would do that, honestly. So, that'll be it for this video. Once again, thank you for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you want to see the other videos I've posted. Leave a comment on whatever you want to say, whatever belief you have, whatever you think about this NHL season, because I still believe that the Wild can win the cup. And I just hope it comes to fruition, okay? I still believe they can do it. Let's make it happen in Game 6. And I'll talk to you all later. See you later.